Hello, everybody. Welcome to a holiday edition of the Crib. I think we're probably going to be opening this up to be open mic fairly soon, and I will post everything. I will post a link to the Hangouts in the chat for anybody that would like to join us to ask questions about you know anything. I mean, it's not a huge content week because there was no update or release notes. So there were a couple of new things: the incoming message, the new TLC, and yeah, there's shards you can go out and get, but I didn't really get into that too much. It's if you're interested in the shards, you probably already know about it. But I'm joined today by Mr. Tito
Hello, everybody.
and Dr. Death.
Hello.
Hello. Well, should I go ahead and start the slides, or anybody have anything they want to start with?
Yeah, do you know if there is the same way that there are mercs that do the raid? Do you know if you can hire somebody to do the walls for you?
Well, as we talked on last Friday night's show, my suggestion was that you adopt or have your own children. It may take as long. It might be quicker to adopt them. If you have your own children, you might be done. If you have two children, unless they're twins, you might already be done with your walls. But that 2 years that would take to have a couple of kids and then raise them up to the point where they could actually do that for you. Unless you've watched any of the Star Wars Clone Wars, where they have the growth accelerators, there might be a possibility to go with that as well.
Yeah. Now we have to see if you can build and refit that at the same time, right?
Yes. Well. Alrighty. Well, let's just start with the newest revision on the TLC. I've only done Prize Pack 1 at this point, and that appeared to be the same as the previous war game revisions that we'd seen. Has anybody?
Actually, it's the whole pack is the one that was the war games. The war games in the last one, and I don't remember what was the name that when he was offering the revenge.
But it was the war games too.
Was war games as well when he was offering the revenge?
It was war games 2 is what it was.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, War Games 2. It's they had War Games with one set of targets, and then they had this with another name when they offered, I think, the Harlock Revenge, but then they switched over the targets and started calling it War Games 2 afterwards, or War Games 3, or I forget the number. But basically, has anybody finished it? Are all the targets the same as we last saw? Okay. So it's not 5 times the level or 5 levels up like it states in the campaign pop-up.
You have three different packs. Each of them have 3 different bases.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. The first is those easy ones that probably low level 50s or like. The second pack is Brass, Rain, and Havoc. And I think the last packs are Jay-Z, and I can not remember the last 2, but the last one is that one that if you have a ghost crawler, you do it very easily because you can kill those 5 Valiants that are holding there because there is nothing that spots you.
Mm-hmm.
So or you can be done very easily.
Or if you got an old Banshee fleet, you can get in there and kill them too.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you don't have any of those, one trick I watched it in a show and it was interesting, is that if you time how long it takes for you to dive in and out, and it's going to take you a while because you have to wait for the time in the heat runs on, and when you see that you don't have time to surface again, you go into the channel, hit any of the ships, and you know that by you time out and you get pull out, so this way you can in a way kill those targets because you cannot use the retribution like you use in a normal hit. You have to wait for those, I think is 20 or 30 seconds of not getting damage or dealing damage for being able to hit it.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, if everything's sort of status quo with that, we can go on to the new prize. The Zoe's Retribution, which is a retribution with an additional flagship effect in the upper right-hand corner. I've never really heard of anybody using a full fleet of retributions in a base, and most of the time when people are using retribution successfully,
I have seen it at first. Yes, it was for a while, especially when this war game campaigns, but with the other setup of maps came by the second time, people was using and it was working.
Okay.
But then people started to refit and build bases differently, and I am not sure if nowadays you would be able to do the same, but it was a nasty fleet. Not just the one that people was using for prepping, but one that was hitting.
Okay, so if we based on what you said, if we jump to the assumption that potentially using this, because the 200 plus radioactive damage, you're going to basically, you're going to have massive radioactive damage. I mean, you're still limited to 4 weapons that you can actually really choose, unless you're going to put a heavy scatter gun on, because the other 2 you're stuck with the what's the name of it, the heavy launcher.
Mm-hmm.
The thermonuclear launcher, I think it's called.
Yeah, the thermonuclear launcher. Yeah. So I was curious if potentially this ties in with the Squall launcher at all. The fact that they're trying to revitalize this before, everybody has OP9 and you're not doing near the damage you need to be doing to that level of tower. Does anybody still think this has the potential to be effective, at least in the short term, or even in the long term? Anybody think this has long-term effectiveness in a base?
I don't
Not in the top end.
Not at the top end, and maybe for a while it will, and then you will have to do changes or stuff like that, because we don't know what is going to be the next defender, because the last one was working pretty well while the Valiant was not still there. There were not other fleets that we are starting to use now, but when it was just the Vanquishers, it was killing bases quite well. But for example, the other setup of war games with just 4 of the retributions, you could do it with a single fleet, all the packs.
Okay.
Problem is, a lot of our defender holes are heavy on radioactive, and this hole has no radioactive deflection. Even in Bloodthirst, it's not. It doesn't have enough to really stand up. You know what I mean? And also, this is very weak on penetrating, and so many bases are still running executioners like crazy.
Yeah, and I can't recall. I think Dr. Death, were you on the show that we dealt with deflection and how the shockwave, the shockwave deflection plates, now I think radioactive deflection plates, they appear to be a little bit more effective than they are to the large pass through, because it seems on the surface, if you didn't really know what's behind them, that would be an effective counter for everybody. That the low radioactive deflection on this hull could be easily solved by, because I think you could get this number up. As I recall, the largest plate is 5,000.
Yeah,
so you could get it up to 22,000 radioactive deflection.
You could deal with the radiation, but you wouldn't be able to deal with the penetrating, or even the blunderbusses. The blunderbusses will put a hurting on this hull too.
Well, no, because the extra range it has, you can kill them without triggering them to shot you. The problem is what you said, is the penetrative deflection at 1,880. I think even the Dead Eye Executioner, that as we have posted in the show many times, that doesn't have the same power that has the Executioner due to the extra salvo, was going to deal pretty well with these ones.
Yeah.
Especially now that I haven't worked at that yet, a level 8 turret, but I wonder if I can put something more than does damage besides the thermobaric and the one you take from the drag bases. I think is the fire support M.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing that the problem that I have with this whole, and I mean, if you can get it, and I do see that it could probably be used in some bases. You know what I mean? But Kickstar's been pushing that we have to use multi-ship fleets to hit bases. That bases are now a puzzle, and you don't want to go in with just one type of hole in your fleet. You want to go in with multiple types of holes in your fleet. So why keep pushing flagships that only affect one type of hole?
Because
It's
at the end
counterproductive.
you start to see like with the revenge hole, in which you put now the Harlock revenge, you put 2 revenges, you build them with even different weapon than the one that it's supposed to be on it, and you can see that devastating bases left and right because the extra deflection covers stuff that you were not expecting. And as you said, there are lots of bases with executioners, but there are some that change it into ballistic, and there are some that are changing, or they don't even have executioners anymore because they are using something different. And I guess it's going to be a fleet that will not get into all bases, but if you see a base that is low in the executioners because they are using something different, maybe it's the fleet to go in with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't get the hole. I mean, this hole, I believe, could have some uses in base hitting, but all I'm saying is, it isn't a must-have hole.
And also with a 8-day, 8-hour bear haul build, you're going to spend some time in order to just build this haul. I mean,
yeah, but get in mind that it's not 8, it's 5, because if you win it, you at least have 3 of those tokens. And I'm not sure, but it could be that this is one of the cheapest of the flagships that we have got recently.
On build times, it is one of the cheaper flagships, yes.
Okay.
But the other thing we do need to point out and remind all the players of when they're looking at this and looking at dedicating time to building this or even coins to chase this is that Kickstar's already said in February we start getting the tier 6 Conqueror holes. This is a tier 5 Conqueror hole. Goes with a tier 5 fleet. So it's going to be obsolete in February.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up long-term, short-term, as far as whether you want to build this. And we don't know if they're going to. We haven't seen the tier 6. The one thing that worries me about the tier 6, are they going to give tier 6 ones with the same sort of name? Like and this will apply. Some of these flagships may apply to a tier 6 ship. I mean,
I don't see it coming that way.
Yeah. I'm just saying we don't know.
It's going to be different names and even different ships. I don't know if we are going to repeat tier 6 with radioactive, missile, ballistic, and conclusive and alike, or how it's going to work. But I am not sure that flagships for tier 5 are going to be useful on tier 6. The way that they are doing the economy right now.
Yeah. And we know that if you were, at some point you're thinking, okay, I'm going to have some fleet that does a ton of radioactive damage, they won't be allowed in, any new targets. So that's just another, yeah.
You may use this in targets till it's April or May when they are going to change target in the.
Mm-hmm. And
June at max, but unless you're a huge coiner, as you said, I wouldn't be building this at this point because you are probably busy building the cannoneers or the fleet that you're deciding to build for the next raid target. But maybe after the second month, if you are not building those ironclads, if you don't, because we have not seen yet and we don't know yet how worth they are going to be, maybe people is going to start to building these flagships if they don't have them yet.
Yeah. And the other point I wanted to bring up is the normal retribution has been made very cheap to obtain, and this potentially could be the first Conqueror Hall that a mid-level or newer player actually owns. Assuming you can't get these two heavy weapons because you don't have any Conqueror Halls, and you manage to just be smart and figure out a way to get through prize pack 1, how would you use because again, we just have the one graphic. If you just cross out this flagship effect, this is a retribution.
Yeah.
How would you recommend people use this hall if it's the regular retribution? Because I assume that we're probably only going to see this set of quote unquote war games above the law targets one more time. Either that, or it's going to be, if we see it more than one more time, it's only going to have these same prizes in it. It's not going. They're not going to update it with new prizes because of I think we're going to see a huge step in the power of the Conqueror Halls as we go from Tier 5 to Tier 6.
War Games is stuck. I mean, I've noticed that War Games keeps coming back, and the reason why War Games keeps coming back is because people are willing to throw coins at base hitting. So Kixeye will update War Games and bring it back out again. It'll just have new tech and new ships in it. They're making money off this TLC
because of the build,
well, because normally it's likely they are offering something that is appealing on the pack 1 to get. Last, I think it was the Revenge one of the times. It has been now this one. In another way, with the Dark Reign, with all the people that got the Apollos, many people got those vendettas. And the first Malice, get the Malice was not that complicated, so many got the Malice. So let's say that even the mid-level players that have a bit of tech were able to get it. Actually, not the Zoe, but at least the Retribution, you can get the first 2 maps of that pack just with your Forsaken mission fleet. It's going to get damaged, but you can do it with your tank and your mortars. And in the third one, if you are willing to coin, you can do it as well.
Yeah. So even with that, what I'm saying is these people that don't. What I'm saying is these people that don't have Conqueror Halls, and they win the regular Retribution. What should they do with it?
Tank spotter for vendettas. I mean, that's
no. This for Nova Storms or Citadels. I'm saying if this is their first and only Conqueror Hall, because they made this very, very easy to get. I mean,
but it's unless you've got the thermonuclear launcher, you really can't put much on. You can only put 4 weapons on this hull.
Yeah.
It's not one that's going to bash its way through any upper level or even mid-level base.
Yeah, but well, remember that in the last Holo store, and we are talking in 2 months ahead, we are going to see another Holo store, and in the last one, that weapon was there to redeem. So I wouldn't be surprised that it keeps coming. Because since they revamped all the PvP targets and they want that, not that you will have the top tier that is going to be the tier 6, but the the tier 5 it seems to be something that is going some way to be nerfed to be the new tier 4 that we are using now of fleets and alike. Slowly, many more people is going to get it. That's the impression I have, at least.
Okay, let's move on, because after the incoming message, I'm going to post the Hangout links for other people to join. I split it into 3 slides. I think yada yada yada. Somebody just I dispatched a fleet of Hellrays to investigate. It's great regret that I announced that none of these crews survived the encounter. So, that's the only thing I learned out of that is whatever happened, beat up the Hellrays. And then this one's interesting. What we're talking about is Scourge is going to be the new siege target, is basically the idea in the upcoming raids.
Faction.
Yeah, but they're siege targets, and we're all just used to Scourge being subs with damage over time, corrosive damage, concussive damage. But now they're going to have buildings, and I'm trying to figure out if they're going to have more than buildings, even though that's outside of the definition of siege. Using solar technology in combination with submersible tech, they're able to surface and submerge structural platforms to gather energy, food, and worse, to fight. I've not seen food entered in this game at all before. And this is something that we should talk about for at least a half an hour. No, I'm just kidding. What I was more wondering about is this could go two ways. After talking to Dr. Death, he mentions, individual platforms inside of a target going up and down. Or is it the whole target that comes to the surface and then we see them? Same, not a new mechanism, it'd just be spawning on the map.
I don't know. See that the depths looks to be a bit of Trekkie Zone and Star Trek and Star Wars things. I wouldn't be surprised with the idea that Dr. Death talked before, that you have to hit some targets to make other ones spottable so you can keep going. And as he said, that
like whack-a-mole,
the generators of the shields are going to be well defended, and that will release either fleets like in those that were smokes in the targets, or something alike. That's the impression.
Well, we know they will not put ships in these targets, because if they put ships in the target, it changes it from siege to garrison. So we won't see any hole. There won't be subs or ships in the target unless Kixeye is completely changing the target structures. Right now we know a siege target has no holes in it. A garrison target has patrolling ships in it with a lot of buildings.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you, Dr. Death. I don't think that we're going to see ships or subs or anything like that in the primary targets.
My question, though, is based off of game mechanics. A torpedo tower and like our transformer towers we can put on the water, those are treated like ships.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The damage they do is treated like ship damage, and damaging them, it's treated like ship damage. So if these targets are submersible targets that pop up and down, and they follow that same game mechanic, then siege battery is not going to have any effect on them. Just like siege battery doesn't affect a torp tower.
Yeah. And that's a coding issue, whether they want to make it that way or not. I don't think that we've found that any of these things are hard and fast rules with them, as far as if it's on the,
Well, it's always been that way though. Torp towers and remember the old.
But torp towers, yes.
So if it follows,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If it follows in that same game mechanic, then that there is that possibility that part of this target may not be affected with things like siege battery and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But we may have on a target where something like, even a possibility I've looked at, which it's out there, but it might even be better to where instead of looking, for people who didn't get the cannoneers, instead of looking at your Centurions for these targets, possibly looking at the Punishers and maybe even that Punisher flagship that we saw no use for back when it came out. Because I re-looked at that, and with its assault and siege deflection, and on top of it having both ballistic and radioactive defenses.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up game mechanic, because I don't even think it's in my opinion. Well, maybe the second point would be, but the things that they bring into the first of a cycle, first of a raid cycle, because everybody remembers the first ones with the skirmish, the Hell Wraith, the one that we just finished, where we had the Hunter Reaver mortars, which were nothing we'd ever seen before and didn't follow any other game mechanic we'd ever seen. And then in addition to that was the you killed something and it did a huge amount of damage to you, no matter what range you were at. that was new. I mean, I guess there's the third one with the, them firing off mortars that could surface you. I'm just saying that I wouldn't have a huge amount of confidence in relying on prior game mechanics, because even before, with the first raid in the Apollo series, the Assault series, we had assault deflection bypass, which we were told didn't exist, but did exist, and made the Punishers unusable in that first part of the raid. That was confirmed through the data mining, but it wasn't ever admitted to by Kixeye in any way. So all I'm trying to get to is a point with this is the fact that all bets are off. They could enter any sort of new game mechanic they want to when this thing starts. And
hey, you know what? I know what we're gonna need.
Tinfoil hats.
We're gonna need all of our tech to be R16.
Yes, that's a possibility, but I wouldn't count on it.
I was worried because since you said that there was food, I thought that you were saying we were going to need the barbecue, something like that. But yeah, that makes sense as well.
And then I'm going to get to the the next slide's going to explain. Everything gets simplified. I'm just trying to read in anything that's here. The yellow paragraph. They mentioned everybody we fought in the last year. I don't know if this is like an end of the year, this is what we've been through. They talk about fighting Zoe and the Legion and Drax, the Reavers, and this is what we've been formed to fight against. And we're stronger than ever before. We have the means of facing the Scourge head on with the strength of our new technological. Wow, I guess I didn't write this. With the strength of our new technological strength behind us, we will take the fight to the Scourge in a way that we've never seen before. Are they being over dramatic in a way we've never seen before? Is this, what we were talking about earlier, that things are popping up and down before, or also we're all talking about completely new game mechanics that we've never seen before, like we do at the beginning of every raid, and they're just telling us, brace yourself and move to World Epsilon so you can see what happens to those poor people in Alpha when they have no idea what's going on.
The last time we had one of these incoming transmissions that said in a way we've never seen before was when they were leading us up to the last set of Scourge raids.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't put a lot of confidence in my heart.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially because likely you send the boogeyman to the little kids when they do something wrong, so they behave better. The way that they make us behave better is tell us that another Scourge is coming, because with the way they act, I don't know.
Yeah, and then these are two posts in the forum from Doom Rooster and Raken. The only thing that gives me pause in what Doom Rooster said is Scourge targets in the upcoming event are siege targets. If he said targets in the upcoming event are siege targets, it would have simplified things, and it would have made me think that there's going to be additional targets, since in the previous slide they mentioned every single faction in the world. So I don't know what this means. And then Raken's explaining what siege is.
Fundamentally, what gives me pause.
Yeah. Fundamentally is the issue that there's going to be something else out there besides what you're prepared for. That's going to be the new boogeyman for everybody to, going against or whatever. So, anything else on this, or I'm gonna go ahead and post the hangout if anybody would like to join us. Yeah, that looks like the hangout. So, oops, there we go. So, anything else on this as far as besides the quick observations that we made?
No, I wish the Kickside gave us a little bit more direction since we're only 2 weeks out.
Yeah, I was expecting that this week TLC was something like a preview of those titles, so we could have an idea about what was going to come, because this is a bit cryptic and you have to be still guessing, and it's not fair that you have to be guessing like you're building.
Hey, George. Hey, Brian. How you guys doing?
Duck and cover, boys. Duck and cover.
Amen.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
This is what we talked about last week. Do either one of you guys have anything on the previous slides? I can go back to them.
I mean, I have my own theories, but I've had my own theories for months now, so I don't know.
Regarding Kixeye, or
The Scourge
the
targets.
government?
I mean,
Okay.
There's always retribution thing. I don't. That whole thing's a mess, because I don't know when they're coming out with the 6th level crap, but the Reaver.
Well-
I mean the Reaver. The Scourge targets are. That solar thing throws me off a little bit. The rest of it I can totally see. I mean, there was what was the raid where you had to hit like one island and then hit the ship in the middle and then hit another island. You had to hit the ship in the middle
That's
until.
what I was thinking. The game mechanic's going to be something like on the target.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of guessing at, the way that they were trying to say it. Whereas, you might hit one of the siege targets and then it opens up for something else, or they have that mist shit that the Reavers had.
I think it's going to pop up out of the water because they say that it rises, that it can be brought up or down to fight. So I'm thinking we're going to hit an island and it's going to cause another platform to come up.
Yeah, I mean, I just, the only thing that, like you guys said, the only thing that I'd be worried about is whether or not that the siege mechanic is going to work right. That would give me pause. But other than that, no, I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to play with stuff. If it just pops out of the water, I mean, I can totally see him, having us come in, hit something, and then having something pop up behind us. Because they have started us in the middle of a battle before too. It wouldn't shock me. So I don't know if you want to.
George says, "Watch your back."
I'm paranoid, man. This is the Scourge. The Scourge has
Now,
never been.
now here's the thing: if these are coming up from under the water, are they going to have walls? Because underwater walls would be completely useless.
Yeah, the whole thing does kind of make me tilt my head to the side. It's like, oh, mainly underwater faction, underwater cities, this and that, and now you're fighting them above ground. Well,
I actually can you actually slide back a couple slides where it actually says that? Because I'm trying to see whether or not this is. Are we coming into, areas that they had and they're also going to attack us, or?
No, it says using using sonar technology in combination with submersible tech, they're able to surface and submerge structural platforms to gather energy, food, and worse to fight.
they built a vast network of structures from the ruins of an ancient civilization before the floods. I guess it doesn't really say whether it's above
Before
or
the
below
floods,
water.
Well,
Before the
it
floods.
says ancient.
I'm
yeah,
a
it says
static
ancient.
for it.
I think
So they're
what
originally
doing-
above ground.
I think
You,
what they're doing
you will
is
have to
gonna be-
get the energy on one, then get the food on the other, prepare the bacon, let they smell the bacon,
Yeah.
get out of the
think-
of the hole and start to shoot.
I think
That
that they're
was-
going to actually be bringing up old, ancient cities. Is essentially that. So I would not. I would expect walls. I really would. I'd expect really big fucking walls.
Or big fucking
Because-
gates.
The Dracs have been. I mean, if we go back to the original, storyline, everything flooding over, war. I mean, I could see massive walls coming up with those things. I just don't know how quickly or not quickly they would be bouncing up and down, or if that's just a mechanic to say, hey, this is why they're not nomadic.
Or could it even be a thing where the platforms are on timers?
I would hope that they learned from the last raid that that kind of complexity does not sit well with the general populace of the gaming community. I mean, that was one of the huge issues that they had in the very first raid of this cycle. It was one of the huge issues that they had with the Scourge. Making that mistake 3 times. I would hope that they don't.
Wait around kind of bosses.
No matter. Go ahead, Brian.
Wait around bosses in other games and targets in this. It's pretty rude, especially when they're making the targets a lot bigger. The map is so big, and you have to navigate through so much more of the map, both in total distance and like percent of total. They're probably going to be huge honking things like our current draconian bases, like subsector core bases.
Ugh.
So I don't think they're going to dip down and back up. Doing that and running around all that time would just take way too long, and nobody has time for that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see. I would like to see just big, just have one target. You got to go in there and hit it. But the one catch that I do pause at is that they gave the Cannoneer a whole lot of speed, and you can get a whole lot of speed and turn in it if you build it the right way, along with stun resistance that might play a part in it. And I'm wondering if maybe, where they say they can pop it up, maybe the main structure comes up, and then there's also stuff that'll pop up after you get to a certain point, like I don't know, like booby traps or special turrets you got to hit, or I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I think that speed is actually going to be an important aspect in this next target.
Yeah, but the problem is that if all we think it's going to be important, we are going to need a special that makes a sort of, I don't know, a double the slots or something like that, so we can put all we think we are going to need. Because that's the problem at the end. Because you cannot put a speed, reload, and stun, and all we want to put on those fleets. Something is going to go out. You only have 5 slots. That's the problem. And it's a pity that we have a big access to a hull, but we have to be guessing how to build it.
Well, I mean, that's the strategy of the build, isn't it?
Well, see, that's why
how you can say a strategy that you have a strategy to build something when you don't know what you are building, because to make a strategy you have to know about the situation. You cannot build a strategy that works.
Look, I extrapolated off of what the hull said to me when I wrote that. I mean, I came up with a build just based on what I saw in the hull. I mean, it could be wrong. It could be dead wrong. But, given the strengths that they gave us.
Yeah, and that's my point. What's the point giving you access to a blueprint if you have to bet about the build? You have to go with in that thing.
Well, Tito, but see, that's why I did win way I did. I know that I wanted Arbalists on my holes. I wanted that wall and that building damage bonus. I know I wanted siege battery on it because it's a siege target. And as long as siege mechanic works, that's going to be one of the better specials to have on there. And then, like I said, I've got 2 cannoneers that I've built with drum reloaders. I got 2 cannoneers that I've built with agility 4. And I'm just going to test the target and see which build works better, and then I'll just coin out those 2 specials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're working with more incomplete information here than we normally are. Yeah, like we, the panel, all pretty much know what a siege target is. There's a forum post explaining what siege target is. There is an info button in game that you can click on a siege target to learn what a siege target is. If you don't know what a siege target is, info button. 2017, the year of the info button. Guys, come on. It's right there. Click the button. But not having an appropriate special and weapon is... Okay, I'll just go off now. I hate it, and I feel confused, and I feel insulted because it's been 2 weeks, and we don't we only know the promise of a cannon and a special for this upcoming raid type. We haven't gotten any specifics, and we're running out of time. You can't really build with the new stuff. You don't have it yet. You can't really plan around it because you don't know how much it weighs. You can't get your armor right because you don't know how much your weapons cost. There's a lot of good options in specials, and I like that, but we don't have the one that's, you know, supposedly the best. So we can't build with the best tech now, and it's going to be concerning because they haven't done it now. So they'll do it, what, a week before the raid?
Or they'll do it they'll do it at the start of the raid. It'll be in the next raid prize. One or the other.
Yeah.
I'm starting to worry that it's no more a raid price rather than a TLC, because and even both ways, I feel that, as you say, we have been a scam. Because what's the point of having the hull? The hull doesn't take that long to build. It's the specials and the gear that you put on that hull what makes the builds take more or less time to be built.
Well, this hull does take more time to build. It's gone up drastically from the Centurion, but also you're forcing us into Kix is forcing us into two bad situations. Either we have to build a hull with what we know for a raid cycle, but we don't have the best tech, so we have to build it with arbalests or packs or railguns or earthshakers or whatever. You know, put those on, make your armor adjust to the weight limit of the cannoneer, which is the other big problem, properly. Then once you've won the new stuff, you have to refit it all. There's no choice. That's terrible. That's horribly bad design. There's so many points along the communication line, I feel, that have made mistakes in order to make that the case. Or next week we'll be given something maybe, and then you have a week, which again, unless the build time is incredibly short, is something we'll have to, and what if you don't know? What if you have to plan, like I might have to plan for building it one way and putting railguns on or earth shakers, and I might have to try to change out because why? Because Kix didn't get their shit together? Like, that's not my fault. That's not my problem. And I feel like a lot of people would be forced to coin or feel like they're forced to coin in a situation where they shouldn't have to. As someone who doesn't spend money on the gaming, it's like, it's pinning me against a wall and saying I have no way of using my adaptability and foresight to do well. It's taking away the advantage that the non-coiners have, and that's terrible. Fuck you, Kix. Rude.
You know, I can argue both sides of this argument. I really can. And until we actually know why, we really don't know why. They have said that they were actually going to, you know, tune this first, you know, the first instance of the raid, or the first series for this raid to what we have. So, you know, we don't know until we see.
And that's good.
The other problem. Even when you hit the first of these targets, you are not going to know if your build is the proper one, or you will have to refit one now, one after, and one after when you see the next raid. So my big question is the same that mostly of us ask: what was the point of having VIP access to the hull when it's not been like we have been doing? Like now that you were knowing about the new sub targets even before you got the hull to play with that. So you have been deciding which way to go. Now, yes, you have all specials that you can use on that, but you don't know if you are going to make a hole that will exceed in that target, or how many times you will have to refit that same hole. And you know that in this one is coming an extra hole called the Ironclad, supposedly it's likely has been the Hell Wraith and then the Tie Seeker. And what are you going to do? You cannot build on parallel. You have to decide one way or another. So you are just screwed in the middle, and the month is passing, and you have whole half build, or you have to do like the doctor there.
You're not screwed
bet in one way and see how it goes.
You're not screwed in the middle because you get to choose which way you want to play. One's going to be an autoing the target like the Tide Seeker. The other one's going to be a skill one like the Hell Wraith. You know, and on top of it, and I very, very, very much highly doubt that we are not going to see some sort of preview before the raid.
Yeah, personally, what I'm doing is I'm building one cannoneer with the available technology, so that, you know, with my impression of what the raid's going to be, that it will be useful. I'll have one of them, and then I'm letting the other ones sort of sit out there and wait until I have more information. That's personally what I'm doing, because we're not really giving anybody out there a solution due to the I know we all have a lack of information, but what is the solution to the lack of information? Personally, mine, like I said, is I'm going to build one that by the time I get to the raid, I'll have one cannoneer that's ready based on the current the best available technology. And then I'm going to wait on the other ones until I get more information from Kixeye through whatever form or another. Does that make sense, or does somebody else have a better plan to actually attempt to overcome this lack of information?
But with this lack of information, I'm just building
I'm betting
one.
on the extrapolation from the information that we got from the hull itself.
Yeah, it's really
But the problem
I got to agree with George, but now I do think we will have a preview sometime in the next week, because Doom Rooster did say it wasn't pinned. But Doom Rooster did respond in one of the Scourge posts on forums that there was more information coming.
Oh, good. Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got to read through the Scourge ones, but he did post a post in there that there was more info about the targets coming. So I'm going to bet we've got a preview coming within the next week, maybe next. I don't think it'll be this Friday, but because we didn't get an update this week. But I'm thinking there may be a preview next Friday after we get next week's update.
Yeah, and between
That would be good.
Between adjusting the raid for tech that we currently have, so they don't have to because again, it's the whole thing where testing it internally with 10, 20 people versus testing it to the general populace, we're going to come up with stuff they've never thought of. If they're basing the tech on things that we all already have and everybody knows and everybody's kind of honed to perfection already, between that and the preview, I think this is set up to be the best first raid in a cycle that we've had since the PvP PvE divide. Now, admittedly, that's not saying much, but they're taking good steps, I think.
Leaving us in the dark like they are, I think, is a bad step.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. But the what they have to kind of build targets off of is good.
I'm telling you, the true winners in the game, I think, for this first raid cycle in this Siege series, may be the guys that went out there and decided to get and build the Asagio Punisher. The Punisher fleet with that flag might be the game winner in this first raid.
I kind of hope so. They spent $50 million in a month building it. They should be rewarded for that in some sense.
Yeah, I guess so. But if that's the case, I'm going to release some pictures I got from the Kixeye Christmas party of Doom Rooster, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, the other 90% of the people that don't, 95%, probably they don't have the V-pun, are going to light everything on fire, but, that's standard raid fare.
Yeah, but I mean, you just think about it. No one ever figured out what the V-pun was going to be good for, and if you look at the stats on the V-pun, it is truly a siege hole.
Yeah, we all thought, maybe not all. Most of us thought it was going to be like Sector Threat Red, but that just never happened. And you're exactly right. It looks like a fantastic, kind of steering it towards siege a little bit more than the generalist kind of nature of a Punisher does. I hope it does well. I hope people get their money's worth of that. Oh, or you could have bought the. that would probably do well too.
Okay.
Or you could have bought the 31-day Cannoneer build tokens on sale for $100 US at a 30% discount. You guys, let's go.
I'm sorry, but to build 4 holes that takes 16 days, why you need that many tokens?
Exactly.
I was wondering what they do with the rest of them.
Yeah, it's this awkward time crunch thing that I feel like they're trying to sell.
You build two full fleets of them, Tito, and then when one fleet's repairing, you got the other fleet out hitting targets.
Yeah, that's why the repair time, guys. The repair times on the Cannoneer are so high. I'm a scrub and let my ships run until they all fully die and go back and cry. Ugh.
I mean, how many people predict that the actual repair efficiency on the Cannoneer will drop once it's available to everybody.
It won't.
I hope not. That would be incredibly rude. A slap in the face to the people that like got it early.
Well,
you must mean something else, Brian, because the slap was to make us get 90 millions to get it, honestly, and just be here holding and waiting for the clouds to move on the sky. Because
so what Kix brilliantly did was they did the slap in the face, and while you're stunned for like 10 frames off the slap animation, they kick you in the balls, so you don't really notice it, and then it all hits you at once. The kick in the balls is not having the cannon, the special yet, but oh god, what was the worst? I'm so tilted. I forgot the topic. I forgot what I was talking about.
And the worst is this new TLC. They bring you a TLC with an all conqueror hull, and you are like, okay, you don't give me the weapon and you give me this, and why I want this hull now? I want the damn ballistic weapon and the damn special that goes with this.
Tito, you're stepping over that opportunity. Now that Brian forgot what he was talking about, we can see what's in the right-hand closet at this point.
Oh no!
I already told you.
I know we weren't talking about that. I just don't know what the actual point was. But,
that's the wardrobe, man. I told you. And the other one is the way out of that room.
That door is the closet.
Yeah,
that is my right.
No, the other one.
The other one.
That's where the dead hooker is.
Yeah. We want to see that picture. We want to see what's there.
I just leads out. It's fine.
But still, I mean, I'm be honest with y'all. You know what? Everybody is clamoring for the new weapon and the new special. And this could be a tinfoil hat. You could say it's a tinfoil hat. But we may very well next week see a TLC drop with a new weapon and new special. Because Kix, I know everybody's clamoring for it. They will spend the coins to hit a TLC to get it. And then they'll spend the coins to refit their fleets to be ready for the raid. Yeah, Kix, I noticed this.
But what kind of TLC?
The problem was that this game has always been expensive because you have always got the same problem. First, you go to coin to get the blueprint. Then you go to coin to make that blueprint into a hull. And then you go to coin after you play with that hull to repair it and keep playing. If now you add an extra amount of points to get the blueprint, and now you have to coin more than you were expecting just to get the fleet, it's crazy because you cannot hold more tokens than you already have, and you cannot get more than you already do because you are limited even in the tokens you can hold. You cannot get all the deals it comes every day on the shop and stock them all because you are limited even on those. So at the end of the day, or you will have to make an amount of coins to get this new fleet, or you have no idea. I think that this was the week to release the DLC that we are now hoping, because this is going to be likely in a Star Wars thing at the end, with a lot of hope, that is going to come next week.
Well, no, actually, if you think about it, the majority of BP right now is hoping it don't come next week. You know, because your non-coiners, if it comes next week, are totally screwed. You know what I mean?
Torches, pitchforks.
I mean, that's the truth. Your non-coiners and your small coiners, if they drop the weapon of special now in next week's in a TLC next week, then all your non-coiners and your light coiners, none of them are going to be able to afford to get it out of the TLC to begin with. And even if by some fluke they can get it, they're not going to have time to take and get it refit on their ships. If they drop the weapon and special in a TLC next week, it is completely and utterly just for the coiners. And it'll be the coiners that will be the ones that grab it.
Yeah,
I don't know about that. I mean, there's time with tokens and stuff.
Personally, I think
but again,
George, tokens from the Forsaken mission this week and the next week Forsaken mission, you can hold max 14.
If you're
after that, you are wasting your money and your time because you cannot get more than 2 of each.
So next week, you're gonna have 2 tier 4s and 2 tier 5s. So you're gonna have, let's mathematically average, let's say 10 tokens plus 7 days real time. So 17 days sounds about right.
Well, that's not the point, Brian. How many of the non-coiners and light coiners actually go through and complete all the tiers of the TLCs when generally the last 2 tiers of the TLCs are 1-hour campaigns?
I do. I
Yeah.
usually can. There's instructional videos online, usually within a day or two of the campaign.
There is a
going
small
live.
portion of your lightens and non-coiners that do it, but you're going to see thousands of hundreds of threads on forums about people crying that couldn't do it.
Oh yeah, and I don't think that your TLC theory is a tinfoil hat at all. I actually want to say it's I'd put it at 50% plus. Like, I feel like it's the most likely thing to happen. And the thing is, it's perfectly set up too, because whatever it is, prize pack 1, you get your special. Prize pack 2, you get your weapon. Prize pack 3, you get your limited cannoneer hull. And maybe you get some limited tokens along the way to build a limited cannoneer hull, but it falls in just perfectly. And we've already seen with this week that it's not like they couldn't release anything. They released a TLC this week, even though they were off. And I don't begrudge them for taking time off for the holidays. I mean, they had a VXP weekend over Christmas, so but they could have just as easily done something like the first 3 run-throughs of Dark Reign, is it? Or maybe like 2, 3, 4 of Dark Reign, and just, or the Tideseeker campaign maybe, where you need a Bullseye Brigade crew at the end of your bone, and just have it there, and you get it 2 weeks before. Everyone, or almost everyone, probably has the tech to deal with that sort of a challenge right now. Apollos, good rhinos, and that would have been great, and they didn't do that. So now I have to panic and build weapons and armor, or hope that I can build some total weapons and armor on 4 ships in 17 days, and I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, and a special.
Well, it just depends. Like for me, like I said, I got 4 cannoneers built up. I've got 6 weapon slots on each cannoneer that's empty, and that's all I got. So I can easily run all 4 of my cannoneers to a finished build if they don't release a new weapon and new tech within, 12 days, 12, 13 days. So I'll easily have my cannoneers built, finished for free, no matter what, before the raid. And if they do bring out the new weapon and special, I'll coin. That's the way it'll work for me. I'm just, I think it's kind of dirty. In the past, when we got the Hell Race, we got the new special, we got the new torpedo. When we got the Apollos, we got the new special, we got the new torpedo. Give us the weapon, give us the special, give us the ship that's for the next raid. If you want to jack the price up on it and to give it for us to collect it a month early, then fine. There are those players out there that will pay the extra to get that, prize. But don't sit there and give us the weapon or the ship and then make us wait until the week before or the week of the raid for us to get the weapon and special for it and say, oh, well, you know what? You have no choice but to coin.
And the worst part is they're not even communicating this to us. We only know that it's not here empirically because it's not here right now. They could have told us at the raid briefing for the last raid, hey guys, you're only getting the hull this month. You're going to get kind of like a holdover cannon in the FM next month. But the real deal is going to be in the January raid. They could have just said that. And yes, it would have incited some anger. And I feel that would have been justified because then again, you'd have to build your cannoneers with the old stuff, then take it off and refit. But at least we would know. Now we're still mostly in the dark about the whole thing. And you can't plan for it, but there's no time to have to be able to not plan, if that makes sense. Or even just
that's just Kix's. We call it, in Battle Pirates, we call things stacking, right? So Kix stacks things, and so not only have they cut our raids down to a 3-month cycle, they keep everything a mystery, and so we're stacked, and so coin is obviously their generation, and that's what they're going after. And you guys are probably right. They're going to throw some sneaky bullshit, and it's going to piss some people off. But if you want to compete, you're going to have to do it.
I love what they think we are. It's hilarious because I keep seeing these offers of things on sale that are
right
a month. No, if they're on sale and they're a month's worth of something that is either pretty outdated or you can get 6x 5-day structure builds. So 30 days worth of structure builds for $100. Well, with base parts, we can do almost all of that now, except there's still problems doing that. Like I'm upgrading a turret and I can't use my base parts to physically upgrade another turret.
No, that cell. I'm gonna tell you what that cell was targeting. That cell was targeting your heavy coiners that want to do level 8 turrets. Plain and simple.
Yeah, right.
Can't use base parts. Can't use base parts on level 8 turrets.
No.
Yeah, just right the hell now.
Use
Get
the
them.
FM. The FM tokens is it.
Yeah, it's.
But here's the thing I'd like to see. We got all this stuff they keep pumping into the game, and we are in content overload and have been for a couple months. But here's the thing I'd really like to see Kickside do. Take a freaking week off from dumping content at us and fix the freaking game. The lag and all the bugs that we got in the game right now are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
not just the bugs. I think that they have a big issue with the connection or with the broadband they are using. Because if you look at it, each time we have lag spikes likely we are been suffering, it's new content getting to the game in shape of a DLC or something like that. So it would be nice if they would improve a bit those connections, because it's hateful that you see a DLC that is going to give them more money, but it's not just the money they cost you to do the DLC. If it costs you because there is ways at times to make it cheaper, but it's what it costs you to play while they are uploading that, because since that they are collapsing the broadband they have.
And the thing is too, well, they're probably inherently biased because they are where the servers are for almost all the time. Like they're right there, so of course they're gonna have a better connection than us. But also like the last raid. The last cycle of raids, you needed to be incredibly precise, and I think I gave an estimate of a fifth of a second. If you were off, you were screwed. Like at worst, with quicker ships, it's even less time. And so, if you're going to make us have that level of precision on our end, you need to get good on the technical specs on your end to be able to handle it. And if you're going to do this in this raid where there's a sort of, if we're guessing, and we are speculating, well, I'm speculating, there's a stun effect within a range of 95 to 100 just to make sure you have the super swag range. If there's something like that where we have to stop and dodge again, combine that with the negative stun resist intended of a cannoneer where you're stunned for more time, so you're penalized more for making a mistake than the other holes are normally. That's a terrible combination. It's really bad. Oh, and
Yeah, but I'm not sure if they are aware.
For the last week, I can't go out and hit more than one target without freezing on a target. And if I drive to a target, then when I click to attack the target, my ship relaunches itself from wherever it was sitting at before. So I'm having to take twice as long to get to a target now. I mean, these little bugs that are and the tower bug that's been around forever, where if you go through a tower and you don't have a second fleet on the map to click on, so you don't go through that graphic, that locks you up. There's just so many little bugs going on in the game right now that's just making it unenjoyable to play.
Yeah, I've lost the XP target.
The worst of that is then having to see in the Forsaken Council page that guy Ren got to put a post that says, please, if you have this same problem I'm having, is what you have been saying now, your ship's jumping over and over, please fill a form into the custom service so they realize it's not just me that is having the problem, because now they don't want to believe that we're all having the problem. In this show is said, in their show is said, in the other show is said, I don't know how many ways you want to hear it.
Forums. Everybody's complaining about these bugs. Everybody is. But you send a ticket to customer service and they say it's your computer.
Exactly. That's the first they say. And it's our joke. You say, hey, is any of you having lag? And the first thing that somebody throws you in the chat in the second, say, hey, have you cleaned your cache? Because that's the first joke that comes out of any mod here.
I literally clean my cache before every combat encounter, no matter what. And again, like the last raid, the very first time I did a 107, cleared cache. It's like midnight my time. Nobody's using the network. They've all gone to sleep. I hit it. Epic lag and spinning ships. It's not like the simple, oh, I'm off a half second, stutter step lag. It's this game is completely unplayable. Get wrecked.
Okay, let's work towards solutions. Brian, we know you have very limited bandwidth wherever you are, or either that or you've smeared Vaseline all over your webcam. But But
We think the Vaseline splattered, actually.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just going with
Yeah, like,
Vaseline.
God forbid how it got there.
Yes, but I think we should be, at least for a little bit, trying to find solutions for people that are having these issues. And I know, I mentioned, Brian, that you do have your bandwidth issue because you're like satellite based, right?
Yeah, satellite internet. It's out too far for the landline companies.
Okay. But a lot of people are either cable or, whatever. Most people are probably cable. And there's probably a lot of solutions that you can find in-house that we've talked about before. Eliminate anything wireless associated with your computer because that's all radio transmission that goes back and forth. If you have if you're running off of Wi-Fi, use an Ethernet cable. They're cheap and probably free if you know where to get them. Wireless mouses, wireless keyboards, things like that you should probably eliminate. Another thing that I do is I always keep Task Manager up so I can check between battles to figure out what my memory usage is. And I use Chrome, but in that thread, because Battle Pirates does suck down a lot of memory. But once I figure it out and once I reach that threshold, I will just end the task and restart it and get better performance afterwards. These are the things that we can do. I'm saying I agree with you guys. There's a lot of things that we can't solve on our side. But if we did the things on our side, maybe we get a little bit angrier when we still have the problems because we realize it's their problem. But can anybody besides like the 4 things I mentioned come up with anything else that we might be doing on our side as players to improve our performance?
For anybody, and I will put this out there. I know it ain't been mentioned a lot, but anybody that plays Battle Pirates through Facebook, and a lot of people don't even know it exists, there's a little bitty tab that comes up when you're not full screen over on the side that says Facebook chat. You need to make certain that is turned off.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially for Brian, don't leave the Pornhub open or my free cams. They suck a lot of bandwidth down.
Okay, I'm glad that you know that. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Read it somewhere.
You have done science with your Task Manager. Thank you. I'm sorry, Tito, go ahead.
No, I was wondering if he knew that from experience, or he read that in any magazine of those, when you're waiting to get your bear shave or something like that. Because I'm surprised I knew that.
What place has the magazine that would have the article that would know that is what I don't want to know. Nope, I don't want to know. So
He's been donating.
Donating. Ooh. Okay, so I recently bought a new computer, which means I have Windows 10. And Windows 10 can sometimes have some issues, particularly with DNS servers and I think a couple of other things. Sometimes, again, if you find your general web browsing to have issues, things that shouldn't, like just going to Facebook or Google or CNN or the sites that you would regularly visit that don't normally cause problems. If one day they start causing problems, I would try to Google solutions for Microsoft. I think I went into my control panel and actually altered how my IPv, the version 4 TCP/IP stuff worked as well. I manually changed the DNS server that I went to when I stopped having a lot of those issues. There's ways to figure that out online. It's very simple. I was able to do it by following the instructions exactly. It's really great, and things like that can definitely help you. It may not help for everyone, but
go back to her because she could regulate me.
I think she's so.
That might be a little too slippery. Like she might slide off of you.
Yes, well, she's looking to change out a viscosity regulator on a 1962 whatever. I don't even know what year that pickup is. I'm guessing it's anybody know better than me. I'm assuming
I can't tell what pickup it is. I'm a little preoccupied.
Yeah, she'd have to change something else too. Are those are those goggles? Like, are those aviator goggles on top of her hair?
Why?
That was what you were looking at,
What
Brian?
the hell is the matter with you, Brian?
Yeah,
Brian,
Brian, what the
This
hell?
shows it's over. We have a long talk with you, man, because if the only thing you were looking at it was the goggles on the top of
Yeah.
we are in trouble here.
Damn.
You guys know what the internet is for, right?
They're all purpose.
Apparently you don't.
Poor Brian.
Wait. Maybe he's saying that this is just too light for him for what he's watching. So maybe it's that what we didn't know.
Like, let's talk about desensitization. Actually, if you look up ads for any other video game, was it Elvensar? Forge something? It started with an F. I forget what it was. But it was like a video game that all you saw was this one picture of cleavage and it was terrible. The game probably sucked. But, you know.
Oh, Lord.
I like this. I like this a lot because you do not mess with that chick. That chick will bring the hammer.
Hey, can I just mention that this cannon, for all the people that keep on like mentioning this cannon is great. This cannon fucking sucks. So does that new launcher.
It's not that good. Yeah, so
that cannon and that launcher, don't fucking use them. They're for very specific things, and you probably aren't doing it. If you're asking the questions.
Brian, she's got 30 pounds on 40 pounds on you?
60? Like her muscle mass is my entire body.
Just don't even think about it, buddy.
She would demolish me. Like
you'd be a pancake.
Like if you've seen Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, then you know what the hammer is. And the hammer, you know.
Yeah. We're still wondering what the autopsy report's going to be.
Well, when you take a lot of wait for me, yeah, that's gonna be. It's like Gallagher. Like I'm gonna be everywhere. They're gonna have a hell of a time reassembling my ass.
You'd be the watermelon.
Exactly, I'm the watermelon.
Oh.
When you take a lot of steroids, though, you got to watch out for the hammer. There might be traps.
And George, I got a question for you, buddy. What do you think? Because I haven't figured it out yet. But what do you think this hammer cannon was actually meant for?
Fleet versus fleet is the best I can come up with.
I would agree.
Defense inside your base, and fleet versus fleet.
Which seems odd, considering that the Gamma was the last ballistic hull that they released that was supposed to be for your base patrol, and that was like how many years ago, or over a year ago, right?
People just get gales on that all day. There are not. I don't see a whole lot of full cannon builds.
You can use a Malice.
You can use a Malice. I think that's the best use for this thing.
That's why I put that up there. But I'm saying but Malice is listed as Conqueror, not Defender.
Yeah, but
look, between this and that new launcher, I mean, I don't know how many builds I've seen with that new launcher going, is this a good build? And I just put my head in my face in my hand, and I just shake my head.
I agree with you on
that.
Why
that launcher is a fucking abomination. It sucks. There's nothing that can do that a different selection
won't do
better unless you're doing it for defense and spotting. That's it.
Unless they bring out a very specific, like, fusion cruiser style hull that is meant to get radioactive, and that is literally its only job, and meant to have launchers.
Even a fusion cruiser style hull, you would do better if you went either with the antipode or the what's its counterpart?
Cyclone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
If you want,
this one is something in between. The other one is something in between. But
wait. Kyle brought up a very good point. You guys know how involved I am with the Mega thing. Would this be a good addition to something ballistic on your Mega?
What is this?
Well, I think that the hammer is
no.
Mega ship.
No, the problem
could be good.
The problem you have with the mega combat is two things. Number one, when people are bringing in support fleets to attack megas, they know to stay out on the edge of their range, which means because you don't get any ballistic boosts on your modules, you're not going to get this up to a high enough range to hit their fleets. And if you look at the TLCs, when the Apollos come in, they stay at their edge of their range too. So your cannons will never fire. So if you're going to talk about megas, you don't want to use this on a mega. You want to use 98Us, or you want to use Cyclones on a mega on your modules to have your best chance of actually being able to hit something, or even go with blades with a missile extender, because you're not going to, this isn't going to get the range to hit anything. It's never going to fire unless someone's just stupid enough to drive right up to your hole.
You can always put hardened barrels on the thing too.
She's got hardened barrels.
She's got something. I don't know what the hell it is.
I think that if you put that on the mega ship, you finally would find the scrap button for the mega ship, because one.
Yeah, she is the scrap button for the mega ship.
Yeah, I firmly believe on that.
Yeah, I just haven't found I really just have not found a use for this cannon or for the new launcher in game that I can't find tech that I've already got that works better.
Yeah, that new launcher. The cannon is. I mean, I could find a couple of uses for it, but that launcher is just. I'm so tired of seeing that shit on builds and people going, "Is this good?" No, it's not. The answer to the question is no, it's not. If you're using that launcher.
The Squall is what we're saying, George. The Squall.
Yeah, the Squall sucks.
Yeah, it was fluff, is all it was. That's all it was just fluff.
Maybe it comes into play with tier 6 ships. Who knows?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Nope. The math does not support it in anything but those defensive buffs that it gives, and that would be on a spotter ship. That's it. Nothing else. That's it. That's all it's good for. Sorry, guys.
But we were talking a little bit earlier about the new special that's going to come out potentially for the Cannoneer. Would anything actually be better that you can envision besides the drum reloaders? It almost feels like we got that special.
A siege targeting style special that somehow stacks, like ballistic damage plus ballistic.
This stacks. You can stack this with siege targeting and siege battery, and I didn't actually show that stack, but
okay. Here's the only problem I got with the drum reloader, and it's just one simple problem. It does not have a range extender on it. So I'm having to dedicate a special slot to it, which means I'm having to drop another special that I would want to have, because I now have to run 2 ballistic specials instead of just 1.
But you've always had to. I mean, if you look at the comparisons, I mean, I could have added more, but there's nothing that's. They've never really, besides the cannon special 1, 2, 3. Did they go past 3?
No.
Yeah, they haven't. They've only had one that combined reload and range, and it was always a big compromise. And that's why ballistic has always been sort of short-lived, because always there was a requirement to be effective. You needed to have two offensive specials associated with the weapons.
I like what they're doing now, where there are so many specials. There's Speed System 5. There's the range extender and combat speed boost. I forget the name of it. There's siege battery. There's siege targeting. There's CL3. There's agility system 4. There's technically siege reloader, but I kind of don't want to count that. There's this thing. There's the new special. Not counting the siege reloader. I just named 8 specials. You've only got 5 slots, and now you're able to shift things around into more of a defensive formation or an offensive formation. Like, I'm going to have agility 4 and CL3 on mine. But if I wanted to make the crazy kamikaze, I would go siege targeting and this thing. And depending on what stacked and what didn't, I might even take off the speed system and put something else on, and maybe put a few the tiny ones, Siege D35S or whatever that give combat speed that are like 12 tons, because those things are fast.
12 tons. I think they're like 2. They're like crazy little. And yeah, they build in 5 minutes. Well, I'm exaggerating on the 5 minutes, but yeah, D35S are
20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
So
Okay.
fast.
Well, it was 20
It's
minutes
interesting
before.
choices.
That wasn't me.
Oh.
What?
Oh, I think I just saw a picture of somebody putting the new launcher on a Zoe's Rat. Oh.
Seriously.
Oh god, there's 4 of them. Ew. Oh, you poor soul. Okay. Hang on, I gotta tell this guy what's what.
Dr. Death, you've had a little experience with her, haven't you?
Oh, right. I'm gonna tell you what, that gargoyle depth charge, that is a fear. That is a serious fearsome weapon. You don't want to charge it.
I thought this was Nines' girlfriend, wasn't it?
Yeah, this
I was more experienced. You know, I think he's got 2 of them in his base at this point. I was just, wanted him to talk about the.
I've only got 1 gargoyle in my base at this point.
Okay.
I've had 1 fleet come in, and they tried to run it, and that was a mistake. They just died. I mean, it fired once. That was all she wrote. You're not running past this thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's good specials available for this. I mean, the concussive special with the 60% and the
Splash.
Yeah, 60% splash and 50% damage for concussive.
I've only got the concussive depth charge on it because it's on a level 7 turret, and I don't have the level 8 built yet to put the extra damage on there. And it's doing 108,000 points of damage divided by 10. Each salvo's doing over 10,000 points. Each flatchet's doing over 10,000 points of damage by itself, and then the splash on that thing is just insane.
And if you're Draconian, you're rolling, or Scourge rather. I'm sorry. If your faction is Scourge, you're rolling with it.
This is an actual I know it doesn't have the extra range, but if you try and rush this thing, you're gonna feel it. You will feel it. It melts ships.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, with the ATR, you can get it up to 104.5, but you take some negatives with that. But
Damage off.
A lot of damage off.
Was it?
See,
Versus
I've got it on the attack transformer, just for the simple reason because you're either going to stop and deal with this. You know what I mean? You're going to stop and take the time to try and snipe this thing out, in which case you're getting pounded on by everything else in my base, or you're going to try and rush past it. But either way it goes, this creates a pinch point in my base where you're going to take some heavy damage, no matter which way you choose to go.
Yeah, personally, I've found once I get it all set up, I found a place to put mine. Yeah, I'm not going to put it front line. I would tell you this should never be used frontline, because if you put this frontline, they're just going to stand off and take it out.
Yep.
Even at a 104.5, we all know you can come in at the right angle and fire at it without it ever shooting.
I mean, the other ones are 103 that you can do that.
Yeah,
I would put it front line.
If you can
at a 104.5, because it's 103 that gets sniped.
Well, and also
Right?
too, if you can aim it just right, they have to stop for however many seconds to deal with this, and you've got execution using cataclysms raining down on them.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. The cataclysm.
See, I've got mine set about halfway back my channel. It's like my 5th turret in my base.
That's a
And-
surprise.
and
They just come through like.
And when you reach this, you've just gotten into range of my defensive holes. You know what I mean? So you're either going to stop and let my holes pound on you while you're trying to snipe this out, or you're going to bum rush it. You know what I mean? And we've got turret. No, you can put a 105 turret on the front line, and you can come in at the right angle and take it out without it ever firing.
Yeah, but you're also putting yourself in range for other things.
No, what he was saying, but no, what he was saying wasn't it 103.5 or 104 that could, was the max that could be sniped. No, a 105 turret can be sniped.
Oh, I was saying I'd put this in the front line just so I could make them stop, so the The crazy new motor will friggin' hit them.
Yeah, the
Catalyst.
catalysm. That's a wicked motor.
I got 2 of those already in my base.
They
I'm
are
liking 'em.
nice.
I'm liking them a lot. Vendettas do not like these things.
No,
Not
they
even
do
a little.
not. Vendettas melt when they get hit by these.
Yep. So, I mean, it's always a puzzle, and that's one of the things.
Yeah, I mean,
Set 'em up.
I've got my base stacked up. I've got 4 Maxims and I've got 2 Catalysms, and then I've got 3 APOCs supporting that. So close to my base without taking damage. And I was actually surprised. I do like the Maxim guns too. Those are effective little cannons.
Those turned out okay. Yep. Yes, they did. So, other than those two other things I just went off on, is there anything else that we've missed covering? Because
Nah, I think we're good.
I'm looking at that time again.
I want to tell everybody I hope they have a happy new year.
Be safe. Yes, be safe. Please be safe. Don't drink and drive.
Go Cowboys.
No.
Or if you are going to drink and drive, let it be my base that you're driving in.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yes.
In Hollywood, I mean, the Cowboys don't have a meaningful game until like January 15th. So, you got a long time until that's going on.
I know.
Screw the Cowboys. Go Patriots.
Whatever.
No politics of football here, because if not, we never end.
Yes. All right. Should I end the show now when George is telling people
Yeah, it's
to
like
fuck themselves?
I haven't told anyone to go fuck themselves yet.